A lot of people are under the assumption that if they're working with rapid e-learning tools in PowerPoint, that kind of limits them to what they can do for e-learning. So what they think is, I can only do information dumps or click and read courses or real basic e-learning. I can't build anything interactive. And then of course the critics will chime in and say exactly the same thing. So what I want to do is show you how that's wrong thinking. So what we have here is a demo that Michael Allen's team's done, and he uses this as an example from his book, The Guide to E-Learning. And in that book, what he does is talk about how to take courses that might normally be click and read or information dumps and make them more interactive and engaging. So in this particular example, instead of just a workplace violence course that's just a bunch of information and then a multiple choice quiz at the end, where you are as a manager who has to assess the threat level of these employees. So you roll over an employee and learn about them, and then when you're ready to select one, you click and drag the person and bring the person to your office. And at this point, you're going to get feedback. Now, she's not the right person, so I'm going to continue. He happens to be the right person, so I'm going to click and drag him to the office. And then I get my feedback, and then now that he's in the office, I can ask him some questions. So I can just go ahead and start asking questions. Now, there are a few things here that you can't do in PowerPoint. One is you'll notice that when I ask the question, the button changes to let me know that this has already been asked. So I can't easily do that in PowerPoint. And then the other thing is it can lock me out. So right now he says I'm not going to answer anymore, so I can't answer anymore, and then you get feedback. So you can't do that in PowerPoint, but I'll show you how I adjusted for that. And then you got some choices now. Do you decide if he's a threat or not? So I'm going to say he's not a threat, and I get feedback saying that he is a threat, or maybe you should reevaluate it. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to refer him. Now when I refer him, I can choose one of these departments to send him to. So if I don't know what these departments do, what I would do is just go ahead and click on them, and I'll get some information. I can research it. Same thing with the whole decision-making process. If I don't know anything about workplace violence, I can click and read this information, or there's more resources. So a lot of things I can do to get information to make decisions. When I'm ready to make a decision, I would just click and drag him to an office. I'm going to take him to human resources, and then this is going to tell me that's not the right office. So I'm going to now drag him to security, and then sure enough, this is the right one. I can continue it and move on. And then you can see there's a progress meter that indicates where I'm at. Now let's look at what I did in PowerPoint. So I replicated that entire structure in PowerPoint, and what's neat about it is all of these graphics and everything are built in PowerPoint. There's even a progress meter that you'll see moves as I go through the course. Now I don't have the rollover capability when I publish, so instead of the rollover I have these text bubbles. So I can click on them. Same thing, I can get the same information, I just don't have the rollover. And then the other thing is I can't do a drag and drop. So what I do is if I want to select an employee, I just click the person. In this case, I get feedback. She's not the right person. I'm going to continue. Now I'm going to click on him, and he is the right person. So I'm going to continue, and then he's going to go to the office. Now at this point, I can ask questions. And now this is letting me know which questions I'm asking. Now because I can't build that logic into the PowerPoint tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify the feedback I give him. So you can see his information, and then you can see some feedback that I give. So essentially it's exactly the same information, the same design that Michael Allen's team used. The only difference is I don't have that logic, and I had to modify it a little. But overall the learning experience is identical. And then I can choose, he's not a threat. I get feedback. I can continue that. And then I can refer him. Same thing. If I don't know, I can click on these green buttons to get information. And then when I'm ready to send them somewhere, I'll click and send them. So let's send them to EAP. That's going to be the wrong area. So I'm going to go ahead and choose somewhere else. So let's choose security. That's going to take me, and I'm going to get feedback saying, good job. Let's go ahead to the next scenario. And then I would just repeat the process. In this case, I have one person left. So we'll send her. She goes to the office, and then I can go through the process of asking her questions too. So as you can see, you can build effective e-learning in PowerPoint.